Welcome to the Long-Term Value Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Kui. In today's episode, we will explore the life and legacy of Nick Sleep, the investor behind the fabled Nomad Investment Partnership. We'll dedicate the first half of the podcast to Sleep's early life and the creation and growth of the Nomad Partnership. In the second half, we'll dive into the strategic philosophies and investing principles he employed to achieve exceptional long-term value. Now let's begin. Nick Sleep is known as the co-founder of the Nomad Investment Partnership, a fund legendary for its extraordinary long-term investment track record and influential investment philosophy, having returned 921.1% over its lifetime, outperforming the MSCI World Index by a factor of 9 and returning over $2 billion to shareholders. Born in 1968 and raised in England, Sleep grew up in a middle-class environment that emphasized intellectual curiosity and reflection. Sleep initially pursued a traditional educational path, studying geography at the University of Edinburgh, rather than economics or finance. Upon graduating, Sleep began his career in finance, working in a variety of analyst positions. This early experience provided him first-hand exposure to conventional institutional investing and the practices he increasingly became dissatisfied with over time. This frustration with conventional industry norms, particularly the overemphasis on quarterly earnings, short-term returns, and transactional behavior, in addition to the lessons he picked up from Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Pirsig, sparked a fundamentally different approach to investing. It was also around this time he transitioned to a fund management position at Marathon Asset Management, and where he got the opportunity to implement this strategy. In 2001, alongside his friend and business partner, Kais Zakaria, Sleep founded the Nomad Investment Partnership, aiming to embody a long-term value-oriented philosophy. Nomad's mandate was intentionally distinct from mainstream fund management, in that they limited communications to investors to annual letters rather than quarterly reports, explicitly discouraging short-term thinking. They concentrated capital on only a small handful of businesses, whose management teams displayed long-term strategic thinking, and they encouraged patience among investors, requiring a multi-year investment horizon, preferring to be judged on a 5-year time scale rather than the traditional quarterly and annual. Nick's fund philosophy can be captured in a simple but powerful concept: investing in companies focused on building lasting, scalable competitive advantages, which he termed scale economies shared. Now, what is scaled economy shared? This concept describes companies that continuously pass along their cost savings gained from growth and increased scale back to their customers, rather than taking profits. This forms a virtuous flywheel that creates immense customer loyalty, sustainable market dominance, and long-term compounding value. Scaled economy shared can be seen throughout their partnership holdings, most notably in Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, and Costco. Now, let's take a closer look into the philosophies and strategies Sleep employed to create long-term value. 1. Patience and long-term orientation. Sleep explicitly discouraged investors seeking short-term returns from joining Nomad, making clear that Nomad sought investors comfortable with multi-year horizons. This allowed Sleep to invest confidently in businesses with temporary short-term volatility, providing extraordinary long-term returns. 2. Intellectual honesty and humility. Sleep displays humility and intellectual curiosity in his annual shareholder letters, regularly revisiting and publicly sharing mistakes, while continuously refining his investment process. This transparent approach creates trust, drawing in investors who value thoughtful analysis and integrity. 3. Disciplined concentration. Nomad held very few deeply researched and carefully selected stocks at a time, usually less than 10. Sleep firmly believed that superior long-term results come from holding a concentrated portfolio of exceptional businesses rather than broad diversification. 4. Unconventional thinking. Sleep consciously distanced Nomad from prevailing investment norms and short-term Wall Street thinking, preferring an independent first principles approach. This can be seen in the fund's investment in Amazon in the early days, despite widespread skepticism due to its lack of profitability. 5. Sharing insights openly. Sleep's annual investor letters served as a transparent and insightful guide for long-term investment principles, becoming infamous to long-term value followers and investors. Now, what was the result to his unique approach to investing? Over the course of its 13-year run, the Nomad Investment Partnership compounded at over 20% per annum net of fees since inception, achieving a 921.1% return and outperforming the MSCI World Index by a factor of 9. This culminated in returning over $2 billion to shareholders. I hope you found this episode on Nick Sleep and his strategies and philosophies on long-term value creation to be insightful and applicable. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.